So my 7-month pregnant wife, my 2 kids under the age of 2, and me moved into a house directly in the path of a hurricane. Needless to say, we were overwhelmed. But I used these 7 steps that I'm going to teach you today to overcome that feeling of being overwhelmed so that I could get back on track. My name is Craig Ballantyne. I'm the host of Early to Rise Radio. And in today's episode, we're going to go through the Navy SEAL method of staying on track even when bombs are blowing up all around you. And that secret is revealed in these 7 steps that are very tactical to exactly what you need to do if you're overwhelmed in your business and in your personal life. And it all comes down to being on path to the mission objective and always keeping in mind that you have a mission to accomplish. And it doesn't matter if you got shot down in your helicopter, you're still alive, you're still on path to go and accomplish the mission. And this is what all the Navy SEAL books like Marcus Luttrell's book, Lone Survivor, it taught me. And it's mostly passed on from my friend Bedros Keuilian, who's read every Navy SEAL book possible. But he said, it doesn't matter if 3 of your buddies are blown up. You don't get to quit. You still have to go and accomplish the mission. It doesn't matter if you're blown, your helicopter is blown 10 miles off course. You still have to get back on track and go accomplish the mission. And you're a high-performing entrepreneur. You're a high performer in life. And it doesn't matter if there is something bad that happens to your house, that you're in the middle of a hurricane, literally, figuratively. You have to just get back on track because you're a high performer. And that's what you do because you are going to go accomplish your mission. So step number 1 is upstairs. You have to stop creating stories. You have to stop making things up. You're creating your anxiety from your fear of what might happen. But that's no good. It's not helpful. It takes a lot of energy to create those stories that are causing more overwhelm in your head. And it takes even more energy. Once you really put yourself through the ringer and you've made up these stories and now you're super stressed out, it takes you more energy to get back on track. So if you mentally knock yourself more off track than all the other things externally, it puts you in a worse place. So there's a great acronym for fear. False expectations appearing real. Do your fears ever come true? In most cases, they never ever do. And so if you are creating more false expectations that are appearing real in your brain, causing more anxiety and more stress, you're going to feel more overwhelmed, and that's going to make things worse. So the first step in overcoming overwhelm is to stop making it worse by making up stories. The second thing you need to do is switch to a positive mindset. And the way that I do this is think that right now there is somebody in worse conditions, worse situation. They have less money, they have more things against them, and they're taking more action and doing more and achieving more than I am right now. It doesn't matter who you are, what industry you're in, what financial situation you're in, what health situation you're in. There is somebody in worse situation than you doing more. There's somebody worse than you doing more, and that should inspire you to step up your game and start unraveling this overwhelm. So the third thing you need to do gets us into a real tactical stuff. We're out of your head now and we're into the tactical stuff, and it is planning and preparation. And what I have learned from coaching thousands of entrepreneurs over the years is that the most successful people, both in business, but also from coaching thousands and millions of people actually in the fitness world with my turbulence training programs 15 years ago, is that the people that get the most results do the best planning and preparation. And the people that failed in the past but are succeeding now do better planning and preparation than they did before. So if you want to lose weight and you're struggling and you're not making progress, it's because you aren't planning your meals, you aren't planning your workouts, and you aren't planning your schedule to make time for all that matters. If you 10x your planning and preparation, you will make time for what matters on the nutrition side, make time for your workouts. You'll never miss those. You'll always be hydrated. You'll always have snacks when you're on road trips, and you'll be successful. It's all planning and preparation and following through. And it's the same with your business, or it's the same with your personal life. If you want results, you have to do better planning and preparation than you ever have done before. Think about your favorite movie, your favorite football team, your favorite play. All of these things are scripted. Your favorite movie, the actors don't just get up there and start making stuff up. Jack Nicholson, Robert De Niro, whoever your favorite movie star is, they did not make things up as they went along. They had a script and they followed it. And it was a great script and they're great actors, and combined it made for a great movie. Same with your favorite football team. They don't just show up on Sunday and say, hey, just run around and I'll find you, get open. No, you're gonna go up, cut, come back, and I'm going to throw you the ball. And it's going to be a count of 7. And we've done this a million times in practice, plan and prepare. And that's why they win the game. Favorite plays, favorite songs, everything is scripted. And so if you think that you're going to get ahead in your life just by winging it, you're going to be utterly disappointed and massively overwhelmed. So better planning and preparation is the first tactical component that you must insert into your day-to-day right now, with end-of-day planning for tomorrow morning and also making sure you get to bed on time. With that type of planning, you will start to succeed. So that leads me into the next tactical point. This is point number 4, and it's Amish hour. Amish hour, what the heck is that? Well, it's getting to bed on time. It is the most boring habit, but it is one of the most important for reducing overwhelm. If you don't get to bed on time, what do? You hit snooze in the morning and you sleep late. If you sleep late in the morning and you're running behind, the rest of the day is chaos. And what's it going to do to your overwhelm? It's going to massively increase it. So all you have to do is get to bed on time the night before. But I know what you're thinking. I try, it doesn't work. And I've been there, trust me. I remember that when I was a personal trainer, I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'd get to bed at 11 o'clock at night and I'd be so exhausted. And I think tonight I'm going to go to bed at 8. And sure enough, that night I'd come home from work, I'd screw around. And next thing you know, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna be so tired tomorrow. And sure enough, I was, until I did better planning and preparation and I implemented the Amish hour. The Amish hour is just a cutoff. It's a non-negotiable. An hour before bed, you turn off all your electronics, your phone, your computer, your TV, because it's always the last Facebook post or text message that you get that gets you fired up right before bed. And so if you take an hour and you stop, you're not gonna get those last things that are gonna get your mind racing. So we stop the electronics, and then we have the Amish hour, and it's called the Amish hour because they don't use electronics. And so now we have old school activities. We can read a book, take a bath, meditation, pack our lunches, talk to our family members. And that way we can then start to wind down for bed. We get to bed on time. If we set the alarm an hour before our bedtime, gives us plenty of time to do that transition. So now you're in bed on time, you fall asleep on time, you sleep better and longer, you wake up in the morning, you don't hit snooze, and you're ahead of the game, and you're able to proactively chip away at the things that are causing you to be overwhelmed. Now, as part of the Amish hour, you should also reduce your input diet. A few weeks ago, I quit all news. So when the pandemic came around, I started using Twitter, and Twitter's pretty addictive. There's a lot of people on there whose opinions I was interested in. And some of the times it was about politics, sometimes about baby strollers. And when you're on there, you start seeing the news. And I check a couple of news websites, and they never made me happy. They never made me more productive. And this went on for a long time, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. And I probably wasted 20 to 30 minutes a day. I would come home from the gym at lunchtime and say, I'm just gonna read the news or Twitter for 20 minutes. But that 20 minutes was very unproductive, and it put me in a sour space in most cases. So reducing the input diet makes it easier to stick to the Amish hour at night because you have fewer things you need to check. And I tell you, since quitting the news, I've been more productive. And that's right, it's me, Mr. Productivity, Mr. World's Most Disciplined Man, had a bad habit that I had to overcome. And I'm able to overcome it because of the final step that I'm going to give you in this plan. So we're going to go to step number 5 right now. And so far we have done making sure that you stop telling stories in your head. Shift your mindset to knowing that somebody in a worse space is doing more than you, which will inspire you to do more. Then switch to the tactical, planning and preparation, better than ever before. Then we go to Amish hour and reducing the inputs in our mental diet. And then finally, here in the 5th, then the 6th and the 7th plan, we're going to show you exactly what to do to decrease that overwhelm. So the 5th thing is to have your millionaire morning routine. If you get to bed on time, you get up on time, and then you should work on your number 1 priority. So you're gonna solve your number 1 problem, or you're gonna take advantage of your number 1 opportunity first thing in the morning. Because you can have so many opportunities that you're overwhelmed. You can have so many problems that you're overwhelmed. Hopefully, you have so many opportunities that you're overwhelmed and you don't know which one to go after, or you don't know which one to do first, or you have so much stuff to do that you get overwhelmed. And that's good. We want you to have lots of opportunity. So you plan and prepare the night before, you pick your number 1 priority, you do a little bit of process planning that I talk about in my books, and then you move into dominating that morning routine. If you haven't read the Perfect Week Formula, that's the best place for you to start to put this all together. So go to perfectweekformula.com and get that. And then what you do in the morning routine, you have 90-minute work block. You don't do any of the cold plunging, green juicing, yoga, meditation, interpretive dance, all of those fun, hippy-dippy things, which are good. Meditation, I do all those things, but I do them later in the day. And I get my work done first thing in the morning, which means I have more time to work out. I have more time to do meditation. I have more time for my family because I do the work first and I don't procrastinate on it. And then that decreases my overwhelm, decreases my stress, so I'm able to be better present with my family and not worry about checking my phone or feeling anxious that I didn't get everything done. Because I dominated the morning, got my to-do list done by noon. That's the key. The 6th step is a little counterintuitive, but what you have to do is you have to set non-negotiable cutoffs. You have to have a non-negotiable cutoff for the end of your workday. Okay? You have to have a cutoff for the end of your workday. Now I know what you're thinking, man, I got so much work to do. How can I have a cutoff? You have to. You have to have a cutoff which gives you a deadline, which spurs you to take more action and be more focused. If you're gonna work until whenever the work gets done, the work's gonna pile up, or you're gonna procrastinate on it, or you're gonna do like a slower job. You need to have that deadline so you get things done, so that you can leave the work behind and go home and be present with your family. And you have to have that compartmentalization ability in your brain that this is where work is done, and I'm gonna leave the work behind, and then this is where family time happens, and the work has been left behind. The worst thing you can do is be guilty when you're working because you feel like you should be with family, and be feeling guilty when you're with family because you feel like you should be working. Those are the golden handcuffs. You must avoid those things. And you do that by having those deadlines. You should also have deadlines and boundaries for your meetings and your calls, right? Everybody has a call start time, but nobody has call end times. And because we have no meeting end times, call end times, sometimes the meetings and calls take twice as long, and you never get things done, and you feel what? Overwhelmed. So having those non-negotiable deadlines and cutoffs forces you to be more productive. And it also forces you to say no more often, because you have open-ended amounts of meetings and calls and work days, that you're taking on all these projects and piling things up, and things don't matter. So what I actually do is I go through my calendar on a regular basis and cancel things. And I do this with at least 72, usually 7 days notice. So I'm looking at all the things I've said yes to, which sounded like a good idea for next month. And this week I'm gonna go through and go, I gotta cancel this. I gotta cancel this. I gotta apologize, say I'm sorry, call me again in 3 months and maybe we'll do this, but I gotta cancel this right now, because if I don't, I'm gonna be overwhelmed. And I've come to notice that I can only have 2 challenging phone calls in a day. 2 hours of challenging calls is all that I can have. And so if I notice on my calendar that in 3 weeks from now, it looks like 3 challenging calls, I gotta move one of those. Now, I do like to attack those calls and get them on the calendar as soon as possible, but I try and keep it to 2 per day. So make sure that you have those non-negotiables and cutoffs, which will free you by limiting what you take on. And now the final step, step number 7. This is what has kept me on track with cutting out news from my life, which has given me less stress and less overwhelm. And it's accountability. When I make these videos, when I post online and I tell people I have been news free since XYZ, I'm on a streak, and I don't want to break it. I think it's like 33 days now. And by telling you, if I ever see you in person and you say, hey, you still cut the news? And if I have been cheating and I go, oh my gosh, man, I'm a hypocrite. I don't want to feel like that. So by telling you, I'm going to keep my streak alive, so that when you see me, you might see me on my phone and go and peek over. And if you catch me on a news site, I'm a hypocrite. Or if I say, nah, man, I cheated, I'm a hypocrite. And I don't want to feel like that. It's like one of the worst feelings in the world. You can be a purse snatcher and a hypocrite is underneath it. That's how bad being a hypocrite is. How do you avoid being a hypocrite, and how do you avoid being overwhelmed? By telling people that you're going to do something, and then asking them for accountability, and then promising and following through and never disappointing. Because when you have accountability to somebody you deeply do not want to disappoint, you will move mountains in your life. It's what allowed me to quit drinking, quit swearing, quit all my vices, become more extroverted as an introvert, have more energy for these videos, do everything that I've done in life. All comes from accountability to people I did not want to disappoint. So there you go, my friends. We were able to make it through the hurricane. We did better planning and preparation. Well, we did planning and preparation. We'd never done a hurricane before. So we just did great planning and preparation. And we were able to get through the hurricane, no problem. Even though it was a little scary, but mostly it was scary because of the stories we made up in our head. So, we're not perfect on that either, but we're trying as hard as possible to kick that stuff to the curb and stay focused. And we knew that people were in a worse situation, doing more than us, and so we stepped up our game. And when you follow these 7 steps, you'll reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed. You'll reduce your stress, which will give you more mental space, more white space in your brain to solve the big problems and take advantage of the opportunities, so that you bring greatness and abundance into your life. This is Craig Ballantyne from Early to Rise Radio. What I want you to do is go and get my Perfect Week Formula book. This explains so many more of the concepts that I've talked about today in much greater detail. So go to perfectweekformula.com or message me on Instagram at RealCraigBallantyne and I'll send you a free copy. Talk to you soon.